United States has seen homelessness grow worse in recent years. Today, more than 75,000 people are unhoused, over 45,000 of them in Los Angeles alone, cementing the city's role as the nation's epicenter of this crisis. Behind these numbers are families, seniors, veterans, and youth, each battling rising costs and systemic barriers. This analysis explores the scope, root causes, and potential solutions to LA's homelessness emergency, while highlighting key events like the June 2025 immigration-related riots. It is both a study and a plea for fairness, compassion, and urgent action. Homeless Teen Charles. Finale chapter. Los Angeles, California's largest city with nearly 4 million residents, is a global center of culture, entertainment, and innovation, generating a GDP of over $1 trillion in 2024. Its rich diversity, more than a third of residents, or 1.35 million, were born outside the US, brings vibrancy but also reveals vulnerabilities, especially for Latino communities facing immigration pressures.
Because the staff don't monitor what goes on in there, the violence at night, the fighting, the beating, jumping people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they get killed down there.
Yeah, and it's just, I just said no more of this.
Get killed in the men's shelter.
You're getting too old to be around that kind of stuff.
Man, I'm too old to fight anymore. You know, but don't think I won't, but I don't want to. You know, I don't want no violence in my life.
Yet the city's brilliance is dimmed by a severe homelessness crisis. In 2024, Los Angeles County counted more than 75,000 people without homes, with over 45,000 inches the city itself, according to HUD's 2024 annual homelessness assessment report. Despite a slight year-over-year dip, nearly 66%, about 50,000 individuals, remain unsheltered, the highest rate in the nation. Skid Row epitomizes the crisis, joined by growing numbers in Metro Los Angeles, South LA, and the San Fernando Valley. The Antelope Valley saw a sharp rise, showing stark regional disparities. Nearly half of unhoused adults are over 50 families, with children continue to increase, and Black residents remain disproportionately affected. Immigration pressures, especially among Latinos, have added fuel. The June 2025 immigration riots, triggered by ICE raids detaining more than 100 people, led to arrests and disrupted services around Skid Row, exposing how deeply immigration and homelessness are intertwined. Together, these factors cement Los Angeles as the epicenter of America's homelessness crisis. The pressing question remains: how does the housing shortage keep this challenge alive? At the heart of Los Angeles' homelessness crisis lies a crushing shortage of affordable housing, leaving stable homes out of reach for thousands. The city lacks enough affordable rental units, forcing most low-income households to spend more than half their income on rent, according to the California Housing Partnership. In recent years, rents have surged far beyond wage growth, with even modest apartments demanding earnings well above the city's minimum wage. When COVID-era protections ended, a flood of evictions followed, sending thousands into homelessness as landlords filed tens of thousands of notices. The January 2025 wildfires worsened the crisis, destroying thousands of structures and tightening supply, with rent hikes expected to last for years. Immigrants, many driving the recent increase in homelessness, face steep barriers, from documentation challenges to unaffordable housing, leaving them with few safe options. The June 2025 ICE raids which detained dozens, further fractured communities and squeezed already limited shelter resources. These pressures underscore Los Angeles' housing crisis as the central engine of homelessness, where affordability is fast becoming a distant dream. The next question is clear. What economic forces are making this struggle even harder? In June 2025, Los Angeles was shaken by chaos as immigration and customs enforcement ICE raids against undocumented immigrants ignited days of unrest. From June 6 to 9, raids swept through the Fashion District, a Westlake Home Depot, and a South LA warehouse, detaining more than 100 people. The action sparked riots near Skid Row, home to thousands of unsheltered residents, leaving dozens arrested, police and civilians injured, and prompting the deployment of California National Guard troops and U.S. Marine. This upheaval, rooted in federal immigration policy, laid bare Los Angeles' fragile social fabric and disrupted essential services for its homeless population. The raids, launched under President Donald Trump's pledge to deport thousands daily, struck at the city's immigrant community, integral to its economy and identity. ICE operations targeted local businesses, detaining dozens, including individuals with prior criminal records, according to DHS. Protests flared outside the Edward R. Roybal Federal Building, where crowds hurled debris and bottles, underscoring how immigration enforcement and homelessness are deeply intertwined in Los Angeles' ongoing crisis. The Los Angeles Police Department responded with tear gas and rubber bullets, making dozens of arrests by nightfall. Mayor Karen Bass condemned the raids as deeply disruptive and reaffirmed LA's sanctuary stance, while Governor Gavin Newsom blasted the federal overreach. By June 7, the unrest spread to Paramount and Compton, fueled by rumors of more raids. Protesters blocked streets with shopping carts and clashed with deputies. A Molotov cocktail injured officers, and cars were set on fire. President Trump escalated the response, sending in National Guard troops and expanding their presence on June 8, despite Newsom's objections. That same day, demonstrators shut down the 101 freeway and torched self-driving Waymo vehicles. Over 2 days, LAPD arrested scores, including a journalist hit by a rubber bullet. On June 9, Marines from 29 Palms arrived, and a citywide curfew calmed the violence, though more arrests followed. Skid Row was hit especially hard, where most of the city's unsheltered people live, according to HUD's 2024 report. Tear gas and barricades blocked access to key services like the Midnight Mission, delaying meals and outreach. Newly displaced immigrants, already driving recent increases in homelessness, further strained an overburdened shelter system. Mayor Bass's Inside Safe initiative, which had shown progress, faltered as resources shifted to crowd control. The Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, already cut by recent budget trims, struggled to keep up. These events laid bare how immigration policy and social services collide, exposing LA's weak points. How can the city restore stability after such upheaval? Los Angeles economic realities push thousands closer to homelessness as living costs soar beyond earning. In 2024, housing inflation surged, driving apartment availability to record lows. The end of COVID-era protections, eviction moratoriums, and rental assistance left countless households vulnerable, with HUD noting a rise in family homelessness. The city's $15 minimum wage barely dents rent, forcing many to juggle multiple jobs just to afford modest apartments. For marginalized groups, especially Black and Latino residents, rising unemployment in 2024 deepened financial insecurity, tightening the grip of poverty. The June 2025 immigration riots, triggered by ICE raids detaining dozens, further disrupted lives across LA's diverse population, where foreign-born residents play a vital role. Federal crackdowns destabilized fragile households, nudging many toward homelessness. Combined with a critical shortage of affordable housing, as flagged by the California Housing Partnership, these economic strains trap residents in a cycle of hardship that fuels America's broader homelessness crisis. This relentless financial pressure creates a nearly unbreakable barrier to stability, leaving thousands struggling to hang on. The next question looms. How do mental health challenges and substance use deepen this already dire struggle? Mental health challenges and substance abuse are powerful drivers of Los Angeles' homelessness crisis, leaving thousands without the help they urgently need. HUD's 2024 Annual Homeless Assessment Report shows that a large share of the city's unhoused population faces severe mental illness or substance use disorders. While numbers have dipped slightly since 2023, access to care remains scarce. Treatment beds are in critically short supply, and only a fraction of those battling addiction ever receive support. The surge in fentanyl overdose deaths in 2024, flagged by local health officials, underscores just how dire the situation has become. Public health threats only compound the crisis. In May 2025, a hepatitis A outbreak swept through Skid Row, exposing the dangerous conditions of street life, where unsheltered residents lack access to hygiene and medical care. The outbreak hit unhoused communities hardest, highlighting how poor sanitation magnifies risks. Social stigma around addiction and mental illness deepens isolation, cutting people off from housing and essential services. For many, the inability to access or afford care creates a cycle of relapse, hospitalization, and return to the streets. In Skid Row, home to thousands without shelter, these vulnerabilities pile up, from disease exposure to broken ties with support systems. Efforts like Mayor Karen Bass's Inside Safe program, which made progress in reducing unsheltered homelessness in 2024, show promise but fall short without major investment in treatment and outreach. Without expanding mental health and addiction services alongside housing, Los Angeles risks perpetuating a cycle of instability. The hepatitis A outbreak is a warning. Health and homelessness are inseparable. To confront this crisis, the city must adopt a strategy that marries stable housing with robust care. That means expanding supportive housing, boosting access to detox and rehab programs, and funding mobile health clinics that can meet people where they are. Faith-based groups, nonprofits, and local hospitals could play pivotal roles if properly supported. Los Angeles stands at a turning point where tackling mental health and addiction could reshape its fight against homelessness in America. With bold investments, reduced stigma, and stronger community partnerships, the city has a chance to turn tragedy into transformation. Without it, the cycle of despair will only deepen, costing lives and eroding the city's future. Los Angeles' homelessness crisis is shaped as much by inequity and bias as by economics, falling hardest on the city's most vulnerable. Black residents, just a small fraction of the overall population, make up nearly 1/3 of the homeless, an outcome of decades of discrimination in housing, jobs, and opportunity. Latinos, many of them immigrants, account for much of the recent rise in homelessness, according to HUD's 2024 report. With 1.35 million foreign-born residents in a city of 3.8 million, Immigration pressures loom large, especially after the June 2025 ICE raids that detained dozens, ignited riots, and disrupted critical services in Skid Row. Young people without high school diplomas face far greater odds of losing housing, while LGBTQ+ individuals experience nearly double the risk of homelessness. Survivors of domestic violence, trapped by a severe shortage of emergency beds, often face a painful choice between staying in danger or sleeping unsheltered. These divides, compounded by immigration crackdowns, reveal deep flaws in the city's safety nets. Together, they highlight how Los Angeles mirrors the wider failures of homelessness in America, where justice and equity remain elusive. The next pressing question: how did the COVID-19 pandemic make these divides even harder to overcome? The COVID-19 pandemic carved deep wounds in Los Angeles, magnifying the city's homelessness crisis by exposing fragile safety nets and economic disparities. When eviction moratoriums and rental aid ended between 2022 and 2023, waves of evictions displaced thousands, sparking a surge in family homelessness by 2024. Inflation worsened the blow, sending rents soaring far beyond stagnant wages and widening the gap between income and survival. Cuts to public health funding further weakened mental health services, leaving many unhoused residents with severe illness adrift without care. Shelters, forced to scale back during the pandemic to meet distancing rules, pushed more people onto the streets. By 2024, the majority of Los Angeles County's homeless were unsheltered, a direct echo of pandemic-era restrictions. This legacy continues to hinder recovery, showing just how brittle the city's support systems remain. COVID-19's impact also reshaped daily survival for those already unhoused. Access to food banks, job programs, and community centers collapsed during lockdowns, stripping away lifelines. Many who lost low-wage jobs in retail, service, and hospitality never fully recovered, while families burned through savings and slipped into homelessness at alarming rates. Schools, often safe havens for children, struggled to support homeless students during remote learning, deepening educational setbacks that still ripple today. Today, COVID-19's aftershocks still reverberate. The erosion of protections destabilized lives, while weakened housing, shelter, and health systems left vulnerable groups stranded. Recent crises, the June 2025 immigration riots and January 2025 wildfires, have only added pressure. The call grows louder for bold, long-term solutions: more affordable housing, expanded mental health care, and stronger safety nets. The pandemic was more than a public health emergency. It was a stress test. Los Angeles failed. The question now is clear: what vision can guide the city toward lasting change? Los Angeles' homelessness crisis, impacting tens of thousands in 2024, is as much a moral test as it is a policy challenge. A small decline in unsheltered homelessness in 2025 offers a sliver of hope, yet systemic failures continue to cast long shadows. Budget cuts to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority in April 2025, alongside billions in untracked spending, spotlight inefficiency. Encampment bans passed in May 2025, upheld by a 2024 Supreme Court ruling, push people from sidewalks without real solutions, exposing a broken strategy. Still, Mayor Karen Bass's Inside Safe initiative demonstrates the promise of housing-first models, reducing unsheltered homelessness in 2024 by moving thousands indoors, though lasting housing remains scarce. Looking forward, bold priorities are clear. Build thousands of affordable units by 2030. Expand mental health care with hundreds of new treatment beds, and anchor policy and dignity over politics. Beyond construction and programs, Los Angeles must strengthen coordination among city, county, and nonprofit partners, ensuring resources are used efficiently and transparently. Preventive measures like rental assistance, job training, and legal aid for tenants can stop vulnerable families from falling into homelessness in the first place. Schools, too, must be equipped to support the thousands of homeless students whose education is disrupted by housing instability. With its trillion-dollar economy and global influence, Los Angeles has both the means and responsibility to lead America's fight against homelessness. By weaving compassion with innovation, the city can craft a blueprint where every resident has a home. Success will depend on collective willpower, government, business, and community voices united in action. The challenge now: how can Los Angeles turn this vision into reality, proving that even the largest crises can be met with empathy and determination? Los Angeles' homelessness crisis, affecting tens of thousands in 2024 and projected to show a slight decline by 2025, exposes deep challenges in housing, equity, and economic security. From Skid Row's thousands of unsheltered residents to the upheaval of the June 2025 immigration riots, the city faces a storm of obstacles. Programs like Inside Safe and Measure HHH offer hope, but the collapse of LAHSA and a shortage of shelter beds reveal the urgent need for systemic reform. The 2024 HUD report showed a modest county-wide decline in homelessness, with early 2025 point in time counts hinting at further reductions. Still, Los Angeles' unsheltered rate remains the highest among major U.S. cities. Inside Safe has moved thousands indoors, yet few have transitioned into permanent housing, while Measure HHH has produced supportive units, but far below demand. Budget cuts to LAHSA in April 2025 and federal scrutiny of billions in untracked spending underscore inefficiency and missed opportunities. Wildfires in January 2025, which destroyed thousands of structures, and the riots that disrupted Skid Row services only deepened the shelter shortfall. Black residents, vastly overrepresented among the homeless, highlights stark inequities. Achieving functional zero by 2032 will require bold action, scaling affordable housing, expanding mental health services, and anchoring policy and fairness. Yet real progress will also depend on partnerships beyond government. Nonprofits, faith-based groups, and local businesses have already stepped in, offering food, hygiene supplies, and transitional housing. Expanding these grassroots efforts, while aligning them with city and state programs, can help bridge the gap until larger structural reforms take hold. Education and workforce development will be key too, providing unhoused individuals with skills to secure stable employment once housing is achieved. Addressing the immigration dimension is equally critical, ensuring that newcomers, many of whom are now part of the homeless population, are connected to legal aid, work permits, and safe housing options. With its trillion-dollar economy and global stature, Los Angeles has both the resources and responsibility to lead America's fight against homelessness. By combining compassion with accountability, efficiency with innovation, the city can become a model of change. The question remains, will Los Angeles summon the resolve to transform this vision into lasting reality?